Last summer, we turned our park and rides into drive-in movie theaters with the help of our friends at Dbe 512 to provide a safe, fun activity for families during this hard time. And we're currently providing free rides to vaccine appointments through Metro Access. Connecting our city is more than our job. It's our mission, our passion, our purpose. It's what moves us forward together.
Hello and welcome. We are so glad you could join us today to learn how to prepare your businesses for upcoming CapMetro and Project Connect procurement opportunities. My name is Matt Geske, and I'm the Vice President of Regional Infrastructure and Mobility at the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. At the Chamber, our work is about helping people live, work, and thrive in the Austin region. We're here to be a resource for the business community, and I'm proud to say we have done just that this past year. Despite the challenge this past year has brought us all, we have had some huge wins. 2020 was the #1 year for the number of new jobs announced in our region since Opportunity Austin, our economic development initiative, was created in 2004. Companies are still attracted to our business-friendly climate and incredible quality of life. In 2020, the Chamber, and I'm proud to say, advocated in favor of funding for Prop A and for Project Connect, which is a huge win for our region and will give us the mass transit so many businesses desire when choosing to relocate or expand to a new area, provide mobility options to our residents, and create hundreds of jobs. Transportation is, in fact, the second most requested attribute by site selectors behind an educated and robust workforce. Project Connect will be an investment in our future, moving people from where they live to where they work and to the airport with the new Blue Line. Thank you to our promotional partners for spreading the word about this event to your members. The Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce, the Austin LGBT Chamber of Commerce, the Women's Business Council Southwest, the Network of Asian American Organizations, the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the Greater Austin Black Chamber of Commerce. Now I would like to welcome Hema Muller of CBS Austin, who will host our session this afternoon. Hema?
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome. We are so glad to have all of you joining us today for Accelerate, presented by CapMetro, the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce, CBS Austin, and the members of the Multi-Ethnic Chamber Alliance. My name is Hema Muller, as Matt said, with CBS Austin News, and I'm so glad to be your host today. If you'd like to have closed captioning for today's event, be sure to click on the closed captioning icon. That's the CC you'll see in the bottom toolbar. If you're interested in listening to today's presentation in Spanish, please click on the interpretation icon at the bottom of the screen. If you're having issues finding that, you may need to press more and click on the icon that looks like a glow. Once you click on that, select Spanish, and you should see interpretation, that icon change to a flag.
Si desea escuchar la presentación de hoy en español, presione el botón de interpretación localizado en la barra de herramientas. Si tiene problemas encontrando el botón, presione más y encontrará el botón que se aparece a un globo. Una vez que lo presione, seleccione español y debe ver cómo el botón de interpretación cambia a una bandera.
Today, we're going to hear from a range of CapMetro and Austin transit partnership leaders who will give you more information on how to be prepared when procurement opportunities are announced. Later, discussion leaders will be hosting a Q&A session about CapMetro and Project Connect procurement opportunities with questions provided by you, our audience. So before we get started, we do want to go over just a few logistics for today's session. Participants will be muted for the entire 60 minutes and the chat will be disabled. This is being done to ensure that all of our discussion leaders can see and answer any questions through the designated Q&A channels that I'm going to tell you about. You will be able to submit your questions for the discussion in several ways. If you're joining us today on Zoom, you can ask a question by clicking on the Q&A icon in the bottom at the toolbar. If you're watching on Facebook Live, Twitter, or YouTube, you can ask your questions by adding a comment on the post. And of course, we invite you to click share on this post so other people can watch as well. Questions will not appear publicly until they're answered. And if we don't get to your question, please be sure to visit capmetro.org/vendors or email procure-help@capmetro.org. Now I'd like to introduce Randy Clark, President and CEO of CapMetro and Executive Director of the Austin Transit Partnership. Randy will kick off today's discussion and provide a snapshot of how transit programs create opportunity for Central Texas.
Great. Well, thanks, Hema. Thanks for being our MC and host today. I really appreciate it. Hard act to follow here, a professional on camera, but I will do my best to intro this important topic for our region. Also, thank you, Matt, for all your support, leadership of the Chamber. And I know Laura wasn't able to make it, but I really appreciate all Laura's leadership and all the staff at the Chamber. And of course, all the other minority chambers and inside the city of Austin and the region that are such critical partners and allies of us moving these big programs forward. So thank you. I'll leave most of all the topics here to our great staff to cover, but I think it's important that I do a quick overview of where we are related to Project Connect. We have a lot of ongoing opportunities here at CapMetro for regular procurements, if you will, regular in the sense of services that we do, plus our regular capital program. But Project Connect is a very large expansion program. It's going to be the chance to really expand opportunities for businesses of all sizes here in our region to do business with CapMetro and eventually the Austin Transit Partnership. So with that, I'll kick off a little framework of that so everyone can get back up to speed, and I'll hand it off to the team to go through some details. This here is the project sequence plan. This is what the voters actually voted on in November. And the idea here is it lists the different types of elements inside the Project Connect program, but also commits to, generally speaking, the schedule that we are going to be delivering these projects for the community. I emphasize that Project Connect is a program, it's not a project. And some of these elements will actually be divided into multiple projects and procurement opportunities. So we have the orange line, which is rail that'll kind of go north-south through the community, the blue line, which is actually east-west and then north through the community, both very large light rail lines. We want to make these very modern technology, very significant developments in our community. So we'll be looking for a lot of stakeholder involvements. The highest cost elements inside of our overall program. So obviously where the largest procurement opportunities will be, but also the most complicated projects and the projects that get spread over a large amount of time. On the red line, it's our current rail line, and we will be doing some further upgrades, whether it's a couple stations that we're working on and some double tracking sections, and there's probably some yard and maintenance facility kind of procurement elements related to that as well. The green line is a new commuter rail line that will be starting in year 8. It's a little further along, but it's a commuter rail line that's actually already on our right of way. But this could involve more trains as an example, additional capacity or maintenance facilities, and of course, everything from the civil and systems work on the rail line. And this line is in the East Austin area. And our Metro Rapid, these are our bus rapid transit lines. We are already in the NEPA process on 2 of those, and the third kind of quickly. And the idea here is we want to create the best high frequency bus service we can on a few major corridors inside the city. So we'll be looking for different partners, both on the bus side, the bus supplier side, all the subcomponents, and obviously whether it's digital signage at stops to civil work or signaling work on working with us in the collaboration of the city. There's going to be a lot of work on those lines as well. And the gold line is a bus rapid transit line that we want to put on the ground before that corridor eventually turns into light rail in the future. We also have Metro Express, park and rides, lots more to develop on those, but we definitely want to build park and rides at transit centers throughout the region. And Metro Bus and Metro Access is continuing to refine more services, and we have everything from new bus procurements and subsystems on those to electrification programs and all the supporting maintenance facilities and shops to deal with those topics. Customer technology systems, everything from how you may interact at a side of a bus stop or a rail station to also phone-based smart ticketing, data warehouse systems, data analytics systems, an incredible amount of work that will be coming in that topic area as our industry really starts to digitalize. The last piece is an anti-displacement program. This will be managed by the City of Austin. The Austin Transit Partnership will flow money to the City of Austin to do that. So the Austin Transit Partnership and CapMetro will have procurement activities, generally speaking, related to that funding. And those are going to be topics the city deals with, things like affordable housing. It could be rent, it could be renovations to affordable housing programs, a variety of things that they will work on in the months and years to come. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just a different type of way to look at what I just explained. Just gives you a general cost estimate. These are the capital costs associated with the different elements that we put together in the overall Project Connect program. I won't go through them again, but it gives you a sense of how large this program is. So I kind of encourage everyone to take a deep breath. This is a long program. It's a decade-plus program, but also really pay attention to the details of the volume of opportunities that will be available. I would say, again, this is an additive to all the normal CapMetro opportunities that we want to partner with the business community on in this community. So next slide, please. So how did the Austin Transit Partnership come together? So it's really a joint venture partnership between CapMetro and the City of Austin. CapMetro had certain taxing authorities which are different from the City of Austin. City had more opportunities on that end. Of course, CapMetro is the transit provider and the federal grantee related to transit. So both our board, the CapMetro board and City Council got together and said it is critical for the economic growth and of our city, and that's what Matt mentioned. It's also critical if we're going to meet our climate goals and our equity goals as a community. And we really need a much larger public transportation system. It's a topic that's been kind of kicked around in the city for 20 years. And I'm very proud of our city for affirming this decision in November. And I have a lot of gratitude and thanks to the voters for their confidence in us as a team to move this critical program forward. As Matt mentioned, if we are going to continue to grow, these are the services that a lot of businesses moving to this region know we need more of to allow their workers to get where they're going and also provide a healthier, safer community. So both groups got together, funded it. We created a new organization called the Austin Transit Partnership. How we're going to divide up a lot of the work inside the program Project Connect program. Remember, there's a program and then the Austin Transit Partnership. So the ATP is an organization. Project Connect is a program that is an umbrella across all three organizations. So the Austin Transit Partnership will really take care of the heaviest volume of construction and the largest components inside the Project Connect program, which is the orange line, the blue line, the tunnel subway system, the green line, and probably most of the larger new facilities inside the program. CapMetro, while smaller projects, still incredibly big, significant programs, and it's usually because of the expertise that we have at CapMetro right now. We'll be doing the bus rapid transit programs, the express, neighborhood circulators, all the customer technology systems, and our red line program. And on the city side, we'll be looking for the city to help us with all the utility, design review, utility coordination, permitting, but also, as I mentioned, the transit supported displacement. So one integrated team, all working together to deliver this program for the community. Next slide, please. Thank you. So near-term program highlights. And again, most of you are here to hear about procurement items. This is just kind of a setup so you can really understand how this will all come together and evolve over a period of time. Right now at the Austin Transit Partner, it's a good way to say it is CapMetro. We have a mature organization that does a lot of business with the community, provides a critical service. On the Austin Transit Partnership side, we are kind of like an Austin tech startup. Brand new, need to really quickly ramp up staffing and our organizational capabilities to actually deliver these programs. I'm serving as the CapMetro CEO, and the way the agreement was put together is I'd also serve as the executive director of the ATP. And that is because both organizations have to work hand in glove because it is one integrated program to deliver these components. Once a project is done, it goes to CapMetro to actually operate and maintain, because we want one holistic transit system operating for the community. So we are in startup mode, we're hiring people, we're building the team. Secondarily, we're in the NEPA process. So the environmental process for the orange and blue line specifically, we are hopeful that we'll get what's called an FTA record of decision next December. So it is a very significant period of time to do the environmental process on programs of that size. And so that is a better part of a 2-year process. That doesn't mean there'll be no procurements between now and 2 years. the team here will get into that. There's some professional services and some decisions to lead to some larger procurements after that. But we cannot really start anything on the construction side until certainly after the NEPA process is done. We are starting to work to move some of the funding over to the city for the anti-displacement program that we talked about earlier. On the Metro Rapid side, we are in project development, working through the environmental piece on design, having the community conversations. The Expo line and Pleasant Valley are the two first ones, and we're cautiously optimistic we'll break ground towards the very end of this year or into early 2022. Sorry, I have a second you forget what year it is. It's been a strange year. So those are the two first ones, and then in earnest, we'll be working on South Lamar and the Manchac line as well. On the red line, we're about to break ground on the Broadmoor Station. That's actually a P3 development with a developer named Brandywine. They'll actually be managing the whole construction, and we're a contributor or partner, but they'll be managing that project. We're in design on a new station at McCalla, which is Austin FC soccer team. And so there'll be opportunities coming out with that. And then we have some double tracking projects and some maintenance, probably tracking and some other elements that, again, both design and construction elements will be coming in on that. And our neighborhood circulator pickup program, while we operate those things inside of our operating services, we need more vehicles, more technology, more signage, you name it, lots of components that will be in all of those programs as well. The next slide, please. So as I get towards the end here, I want to leave some renderings to get people feeling good, ambitious, really understanding how big this program is and how bold and how much we are looking for great ideas, great partners, people that want to do business in Austin and bring the best people, the best talent, the best ideas, the best innovation to our program, because we are committed. This Project Connect will make sure we are the most advanced transit system in North America when we are all done. So this is an artist rendering of a regional transit center where we want to really integrate rail to express or local bus, could be metro bike, electric bikes, how we want to work with zoning to maybe create mixed use development, whether it's affordable housing or mixed use development, park and ride all together. The next one is probably a typical of how a rail line may look in Austin on, say, South Congress, North Lamar, or Riverside, where the trains, beautiful stations in the middle of the street. But when we go to do our work, we more or less have to rebuild most of the corridor. And that could be everything from, turning lanes to resurfacing roadway, to utility relocation, to drainage, to tree canopy, to bike lanes, to sidewalks, to interfaces at retail or parking, all of those components, landscaping. We want to do an incredible amount of customer technology and public art, placemaking opportunities. Most of these will redo the city signaling system all at the same time. So you are looking at a comprehensive redo of some of the biggest corridors in this city, and therefore a significant amount of money to be spent on those corridors, and therefore for the audience that's here, a significant opportunity for future procurements. This here is how we envision an elevated system going into Austin Airport. Now, Austin Airport has a big, ambitious expansion program. As we know, it's one of the fastest growing airports in the country. COVID has obviously impacted probably their exact timeline, but we are working hand in glove with the airport. And the idea is we want those trains to be able to go right into the airport. You get off a train, you get off a train and you walk maybe into security or you name it, and you're into the airport, and vice versa. You could either work there and quickly get on the train and go home, or if you fly in and there's a chamber event and you want to go downtown and stay at a hotel or go to a conference or you name it, 15, 18 minutes later, you've left this platform and you're standing Convention Center, Republic Square, with a few dollar ride and you're downtown. That's the kind of transit system we're looking to build here in Austin. And I think we have one more on McCalla. As I mentioned, Austin FC Stadium, beautiful stadium, is just coming to completion. I think they're opening the season sometime in April, and we are working in partnership with Austin FC about developing a new rail station at the station that will serve everyday use in that fast-growing part of the community, but also for special events. And we're going to try to have some fun and really do some great design around people being able to go to the games or concerts and doing it in a much safer way, taking transit versus driving. I think I have one more slide if I recall. Yes, and it's just to introduce this great team. I am so fortunate. Our video at the start talked about the women and men delivering service on the street every day, and I couldn't be more proud of all the work they do. It's just been an amazingly difficult year, but every day, just like today, it's freezing cold, much too cold in Austin, and they are showing up every day to make sure essential service workers are getting to their jobs, supporting our community. So just like them, we have an amazing group of professional staff on the financial, administration, procurement, HR, those types of sides. And we're lucky to have a few people today. So both Mohammed and Anita run our procurement department here at CapMetro, and they are going to go through all of the types of opportunities that CapMetro has, but also the process. If you do business with us now, you probably know that well. If you don't, they're going to walk you through how to do business with us. Greg is the new Chief Financial Officer, Chief Development Officer at the Austin Transit Partnership. So procurement will actually fall under him. We are currently up to only a handful of new employees at the Austin Transit Partnership. So CapMetro is actually assisting ATP right now on doing some back-end procurement work. But at the right time and point, Greg will have a procurement shop that will really focus, as I mentioned, on those larger programs to deliver the program. And then last but not least, Dipankar is our lead on our CapMetro's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and Small Business Enterprise program. And he will go over all the kind of rules of the road regarding those programs, how we want as many people in this community participating in those programs as possible, and the types of processes and how we kind of set goals related to those categories. And we have a lot more to do with the federal programs. So the DBSB is going to get highlighted even more as the opportunities grow, and he'll talk about how we're working on that. So I think that's enough for me. I'm going to hand it over to the fantastic staff we have, and I think that means I hand it over to you, correct, Mohammed? Or back to you.
Thank you so much. We know that there are so many exciting things happening in our community when it comes to transportation. So it's really exciting to be able to see, especially some of those renderings. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We do want to turn things over first to Greg Canale, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Development Officer for the Austin Transit Partnership, who Randy just mentioned there. Greg's going to give us some more detail about Project Connect and the procurement opportunities that will be coming up in the next few years. Greg?
Thanks, Hem. I really appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody. My name is Greg Canale. As Randy said, I am the new Chief Financial Officer and Chief Development Officer with the newly created independent Austin Transit Partnership. We're really excited about the work that we together are going to do as the community to move forward what the voters voted in just a few months ago. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time today kind of going a little bit deeper on some of the stuff Randy talked about. And so if we go on to the next slide and talk to you about some of the procurements and really frame it out for you in terms of where we are. I think the next slide, again, the sequencing plan slide, Randy talked about this. I think the community, we're going to show that slide many, many times to show you, again, just to really stress home what Randy was mentioning, that it isn't a singular project. It is a program of projects, and even within that, for example, especially the heavy lifting that we'll be doing on the Austin Transit Partnership side is Orange Line, Blue Line, the tunnel. Even within them, there's going to be multiple opportunities and multiple efforts as we begin building up towards that effort. So we're going to continue to stress that from a big picture context about where we are and where we need to go over the next decade as we begin implementing the Project Connect programs. So again, those two slides, I think the next slide will then show you just some quick work, what we're doing on the Austin Transit Partnership side. As Randy mentioned, we are so far a lean and small organization, just standing up. We had our first board meeting with our newly elected board in January, and really just getting them formed, getting a budget in place, and starting really moving forward on the foundational efforts of getting ATP stood up to make sure that we can move forward on implementing Project Connect. That includes hiring staff, but as you see, starting to look at the community to help us stand up the organization and move forward so we can begin contracting and building out the system. I think it's important to remember as we go forward and look at our contracts and some of the things that I'll show you, that'll be going to this new Austin Transit Partnership Board, a board of five members, committee members. I think a key part of Austin Transit Partnership and the build out of all the Project Connect programs is the federal funding program, the projects. For us to go to the voters for the tax rate election that we had in November, that was based on also getting a significant amount, almost not quite half, but almost half of the funding will be coming from the federal funds. And with that, the requirements that the federal government will put on us in order to get those funds and make the whole program work. So that's a big area that we're going to be focusing on and stressing as we begin to build out the roles that the Federal Transit Administration has in order to be able to draw down funds. And that certainly is about a DBE program, but other things as well about financial metrics. And so we're really going to be working hand in hand with FTA as we go through all the procurements as well. Randy mentioned, I think there's an opportunity too for looking at opportunities from accelerator and incubator with some of our local businesses as we begin building out again, what is really a massive investment, one of the biggest investment that's happened in Central Texas. We're looking at over $7 billion over the course of the next decade. And we want to make sure that we can bring and work with our local partners in the Austin community. So with that, on the next slide, I'm going to show you where we're thinking in terms of where we are now and where we're looking forward in the mid to long term. And the near term is really over the next probably year to 18 months. And if you can think about this as like a new organization, we need to get our foundation getting ready so we can be ready for the mid to long term, the heavy lifting that's going to be occurring to deliver the program. So in the near term, we're doing simple things. We need office space. We're going to be an organization that builds out both from staff and consultants. We're standing up to be an efficient organization. We're not trying to replicate services. So for example, CapMetro is going to assist us in getting some of the kind of the back office support stuff done on the front end. And we think that's a great way to leverage government entities working together. And then to be ready again for the mid to long term, we're looking at some legal services, real estate services, both connected to the right-of-way process, but also long-term as we're building out other efforts around stations. Included in that, architectural services, and also looking at programs control support. So as you build out the whole program, we want to make sure that we're doing it in a right way, and there's checks on that. We're also going to be looking at other things in the financial world, specifically around banking. We need to have a bank to start putting those funds that are coming into that we can then start sending out to contractors and everyone to start building the project. So really that's looking over about the next year to 18 months. And then beyond that, really into the heavy work of the program, design and engineering, appraisals and surveys, and then the real estate acquisitions part of that to make sure that we have everything lined up. Again, this is all very much required, and we'll be following federal regulations on how this occurs. And then we're into construction. We have working through right away, the tunnel. I think this is a big area that I think it's worth highlighting as both the orange and blue lines come and converge in downtown. There will be a tunnel, and it's exciting for lots of reasons, but certainly the work that will be coming with that, both on the engineering side and the construction side. There's also going to be vertical construction as there's a significant amount of facilities that need to be built to support the infrastructure that ultimately will be built in the ground, from maintenance yards and buildings supporting the maintenance functions of the Project Connect program, vehicles and rolling stock, and then a lot of systems and technology as well that's going on, all supported by civil engineers as well. So just a significant amount of work that's coming down. Our goal in the front end is really to lay the foundations and make sure that we're doing it well and we're communicating well out to the vendor community here in the next year. Randy said the procurement role will be part of my part of the business. And we're recruiting a procurement director to come in and really help shape this and really work and interface with the community here in Austin. So on the next slide. So I think what they did here, there's so much work, they gave me 2 sets of slides to go through, and it's the same exact slide deck. So I think we can skip forward, Hema, to the next speaker. But again, I appreciate everyone tuning in today, and really excited to get working on Project Connect and the program delivery with everyone here in Austin. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. And all these projects give us a lot to talk about at the news as well. So we love you guys for it. Now joining us for Accelerate are Mohammed Abdullah, Senior Director and Chief Contracting Officer, and Anita Dybert, Capital Metro's Procurement Manager, who will provide more details about CapMetro's procurement and how to ensure your organization is registered as a vendor.
Thanks, Hannah. Good afternoon, and thanks, Chamber, and all the participants today who are joining us. My name is Mohammed Abdullah. I'm Chief Contracting Officer at CapMetro, and I'll go over a few slides to talk about how to do business with Capital Metro, as well as some of the current projects we have and future projects as well too. Next slide. So this is the overview both Anita and myself we are going to cover. But before I go into this, one very informative tip I like to give it to all the participants, that CapMetro participates in many networking events throughout the year, such as this one. And there's always a list of attendees created of that. So I highly encourage those who are participating to obtain that list and look for the possible partnership, prime sub, whichever fits your business area. And that concept goes into when we have our project, when we have our pre-bid conferences or pre-proposal conferences, we publish those lists as well too. And it would be very helpful to participants who can become potential contractor for Capital Metro to go through that and get in touch with each other and figure out if there is an opportunity to become partners on any given project. So we at CapMetro buy a number of goods and services throughout the year. Just to give you an idea on the work, we at any given time, small, medium, and big, we have 500 plus live contracts for a number of different goods and services. Next slide. So here are a few of the examples, what we procure. This is a partial list of services which we buy. Randy talked about some of the construction. That's one of the area we buy a lot of those as well, and engineering services, marketing services. Next slide. Again, this is a list of a partial procurements which we have right now. We have construction of North Lamar Transit Center. It's in the process of being published, so that will be published shortly. We do have this huge project, Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP. We're looking for software as well as implementation of that. That's a huge project. And when Anita talks about, she'll talk about Planet Bid in detail, but we use Planet Bid where we post all the projects. And we are 90+% paperless, so we don't get any paper proposals. Planet Bid offers a portal where proposers can upload their proposals, so we can conduct all the evaluations electronically. So currently, this is an active, huge project on Planet Bid. And as of this morning, there were about 80+ folks had either downloaded this RFP or they had at least looked at that RFP. Again, that list is public. Any of the participants may think that this is a business they can somehow participate, either prime or sub. I encourage you to download that list and reach out to those who have downloaded that RFP, and you can talk about future business with them. Next slide. So here are some future projects coming shortly. Randy talked about in his earlier one, Metro Rapid Lines, those are coming. Makala Station is another huge construction project. Double tracking, red line of double tracking, that's coming down. There's another huge project is electric bus purchases. We are putting a RFP together to procure roughly 208 electric buses, and that's coming down as well. This is, again, it's a partial list. On Capital Metro's website, we post all the future projects under doing business with Capital Metro tab. So you can always go to that, or Planet Bid is the best place. If you have yet not registered, you can register and you can see all the projects which gets posted over there. So with that, how to do other thresholds and enroll into Planet Bid, I'll pass over to Anita and she will walk us through that. So Anita.
Thanks, Mohammed. Good afternoon, everyone. Next slide, please. So Capital Metro has basically 3 thresholds in which we conduct our purchases. There is the micro purchase. Anything under $10,000 typically occurs using a P card and or a purchase order. A small purchase is anything between $10,000 and $50,000. Those are typically acquired using the RFQ process. And formal purchases, which is probably the lion's share of what's being discussed here today, anything over $50,000, we use methods of procurement that are related to the RFP, request for proposals, invitation for bids, and statement of qualifications. Next slide, please. And as Mohammed mentioned, we use Planet Bids as our method of posting all of our solicitations. Planet Bids is an automated web-based vendor and bid management system for the distribution of all our solicitation documents for the formal solicitations, those $50,000 and higher. This system makes business, doing business with Capital Metro much easier, and it provides vendors with up-to-date information regarding current bids and proposal opportunities. Registration is free, it's easy to do, and by registering, you automatically will be notified via email whenever a new solicitation is posted on Planet Bids. And once registered, you'll be able to go to all of the bid opportunities that Capital Metro has out there and become a prospective bidder for an upcoming bid opportunity or request for proposal or statement of qualification. And again, there's just 4 simple steps to register as a vendor on Planet Bids. Again, registration is free. And as Mohammed said, this is a great vehicle for folks to have an opportunity to network with each other. When we have pre-proposal or pre-bid conferences, you can attend those, but attendance is typically not mandatory in the procurement cycle. So if you're unable to attend one, you can download the attendance list, which we always upload following the meeting. And from that, you can see which contractors may have an interest in providing a bid or proposal, and you can reach out to them perhaps and build a relationship or a partnership as to how you can work with a prime or primes, how you can work with a subcontractor to respond to the particular procurement opportunity that Capital Metro has. Again, I believe these slides will be made available to everybody, and these simple steps will be on the PDF that is provided to you. It is also on our website, which takes me to the next slide. To contact us for general questions related to procurement, we're happy to help you in any way. A lot of information is available on the Capital Metro website. On the very first page, simply scroll down. There are a couple of links. One is for purchasing and one is /vendors. And from those links, you can get the vendor guide. You can get more instructions on registering for Planet Bids. You can get a list of our future procurement opportunities that Mohammed mentioned here, and that is updated as new procurement opportunities are getting ready to be issued. You can always, of course, call us directly or use our Procure Help email line. And once again, Planet Bids is a wonderful vehicle. We really enjoy using it. We have had great success, and they are very accessible and work very well with not only us at Capital Metro, but any vendors that have questions. They are more than happy to help, and their link is right there on the screen, as well as their phone number. And we encourage anybody to reach out to them as you would to Capital Metro. Next slide. Yeah, and I think this is the end of the procurement presentation. Again, here is the link to the Capital Metro website and contact information to both Mohammed and myself, as well as our phone numbers. Thank you again for listening to our presentation.
Thank you so much, Anita and Mohammed, for providing all that information. We want to move ahead right now to hear from Dipankar Mukherjee, who will provide an overview of Capital Metro's diversity and compliance programs.
Good afternoon. I'm Dipankar Mukherjee, Program Manager of Compliance and Dbe Liaison Officer of Capital Metro. In Diversity and Compliance Department, we monitor and manage federal and state compliance on DBSB, Title VI, and EEO programs. We assign DBSB goals on individual projects and facilitate DBSB participation in Capital Metro's procurement system. Next slide, please. These are the main differences between our DB and SB programs. DB program is federally required, so we put DB goal on a federally funded project. Only DBs certified in Texas will get credits towards meeting DB goal. On the other hand, we assigned SB goal on a locally funded project. Small businesses that are certified using Small Business Administration size standards will qualify for credits towards meeting SB goal, such as minority-owned business enterprise, or MBE, women-owned business enterprise, WB, or historically underutilized business, or hub. Next slide, please. To calculate annual DB goal, Capital Metro, I think there is another slide before that, probably. This is the next slide. I wanted the slide number 2. Is that missing something? But anyway, I would try to describe more about how we calculate the DBSB goal. To calculate annual DBSB goal, Capital Metro follows Federal Transit Administration's 2-step process every 3 years. We calculate a base figure, and then we adjust it according to the past performance. We set our internal SB goal using information on past goal assignment and achievement. As you see on the screen, we have DB goal in 2020, 19%, and we achieved 19%. And we have our annual SB goal, internal goal, 16%, and we achieved 31%. And project-specific DB goal calculation considers NAICE codes by work areas and ratio between census data and all firms and certified vendors. Next slide, please. We conduct various networking events to connect DBSB firms with our prime contractors. We partner with Women's Business Council Southwest, minority chambers like Asian, Black, Hispanic, and LGBT chambers, network of Asian American organizations, and other governmental and non-governmental agencies. And we share business information to create maximum opportunities for all the DBs and SBs. And and we provide one-on-one guidance for all the firms that are certified for DB and SB to facilitate businesses, and we provide information on how to do business with CapMetro. We do not certify. We always encourage for DB/SB certifications through our local partners, SMBR, WBCS, and TextDot. Their contact information is provided here for you. In pre-bid and pre-proposal conference, we provide important information on our DB/SB programs, such as the goals of a particular project and good faith efforts, process, where to find certified DB/SB firms, and other information. Next slide, please. Should you need more information on our DB/SB programs, please contact me. My contact information is here. And also you can send the email to Office of Diversity at capmetro.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers today for giving us a snapshot of Project Connect, as well as the procurement opportunities that are on the horizon. As a reminder, we want to let everyone know that you are free to ask questions through Zoom using the Q&A feature. You can also leave a comment on our Facebook stream, as well as our Twitter Live, our YouTube streams in English or in Spanish. I'd like all of our speakers to get their cameras and their audio back on right now so that we can answer a few questions coming from our audience. Let me reintroduce everybody just to give an idea of who's on our panel today. We have Randy Clark, the President and CEO of CapMetro and Executive Director of the Austin Transit Partnership. Greg Kennelly, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Development Officer of the Austin Transit Partnership. Mohammed Abdullah, Senior Director and Chief Contracting Officer. Anita Dibert, CapMetro's Procurement Officer, and Dipankar Mukherjee, CapMetro's Compliance Program Manager and DBE Liaison Officer. So just a quick announcement for everybody. We did have a few questions about how everybody could view this presentation after today's event. The Chamber is planning to upload this on their website, and CapMetro will also have the video available on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So you're free to revisit that at any time to take another look at all of this information. So we did get a few questions from the audience. Let me go ahead and start with the first one. This is directed specifically to Greg. Greg, the question is, will CapMetro and ATP have separate program management and construction management teams, or will CapMetro's current team manage ATP as well?
Certainly, thanks, Hem. I'll take a shot at that. That's a great question. So I think I'll go back to the one slide. I don't think we need to go back to it. When we look at the overall Project Connect program, ATP is going to be really focused on some of those major lifts, the orange line, the blue line, the tunnel, the green line, and a lot of the facilities. So for each of those teams, yes, there's going to be, we're going to be working with the consultants that we have, hiring more consultants on the ATP side through procurements, and ultimately, the contractors as well. So those efforts will be managed by ATP. There are instances where some of the funding will be funding some of the efforts on the CapMetro side, and CapMetro will be leading and managing those projects, for example, red line improvements that are ongoing and in the future as well.
All right, Greg, thank you so much. We did have another question for Anita. Anita, the question is just a reminder to tell everybody, what is the site to access the RFP and the attendee list?
Sure, I can clarify that. That would mean that the interested vendors should go ahead and do a free registration on Planet Bids. And once they do that, all the information will come to your email box, and you will be able to identify which bid opportunities might be of interest to you. And once you know that, there's a schedule within the solicitation document that provides dates, and one of those dates is a pre-proposal or a pre-bid conference. That is what I think Mohammed and I were referring to. You would click on that information. They have been being held via Teams meetings instead due to the pandemic at the moment. Typically they're in person. But if you're unable to attend that, we make a list of all the attendees at those events, and then we post those onto Planet Bids. And from that point, you can then download that information.
All right, Anita, thank you so much for clarifying. This next question is for Dipankar. This one says, once I get DBE or SBE certification, does that guarantee me a contract?
Thank you. No, obtaining a certification does not guarantee you your firm a contract, but your firm will have more subcontracting opportunities by working with prime contractors in projects with DBE and SBE goal.
All right, thank you so much. Another question for Greg right now. Will it be possible to reduce the amount of time the program would take to complete?
So what I would say to that is certainly we're always going to be looking at opportunities to get the project done, get all the projects done. However, it's a vast effort. We need to follow federal guidelines and federal processes, both from an environmental perspective, going through the grant process, and also more importantly, the funding model that we went and the tax rate election was set on was really looking at that 13-year implementation. Certainly as if things improve, we want to be ready to do that. But from a time perspective of where we are here, really in month 1 and month 2, that's the schedule that we're looking to. And that's the schedule ultimately too, that the voters approved. It was part of the contract with the voters to adhere to that schedule.
Okay, great. And we'll jump back to Dipankar for the next question as well. The question is, what is the benefit of one certification over another, DBE versus SBE?
Thank you. Only DBE will get credit towards a DBE or SBE goal on a project. Other SBEs will only get credit towards SBE goal on a project. DBE goal applies to federally funded projects and SBE goal applies to locally funded projects. Firms can hold both certifications. Only DBEs that are certified in Texas will receive credit towards DBE goal on a project. Please contact SMBR, WBCS, and TxDOT for more information on certification.
All right, thank you so much. This next question is for Mohammed. It says, will CapMetro need to expand its office space? Which department would be in charge of that type of procurement?
So procurement always helps in procuring all the services. The program internally is going to be led by our capital projects group, which is our internal customer. And of course, procurement and many other departments support to make sure that a project gets successfully completed.
Okay, another question for Greg right now. We're getting a lot of great questions, so keep them coming, everybody. This one says, understanding the $300 million in the anti-displacement fund, would it be possible to utilize more tunnels to prevent displacement?
So what I would, Randy, I'm going to let Randy look at that. What I would say is ultimately those funds are the city has really a very good wealth of programs that are already run out of the city's neighborhood housing department that look at displacement. It is not only about the housing, but the people around it. So they're going to be standing up a lot of efforts. The linkage between the tunnel and where the lines are going, I think displacement is really a broader category about the impact of transit, regardless of where it is, how it impacts folks. And what I will say though is we're very fortunate and very lucky in the country, and I think a lot of folks nationally are looking positively what's happened in Austin, that we were able to include $300 million in this to get ahead of these types of issues that sometimes occur when new transit investments are occurring.
Right, Greg, thank you so much. And Anita, another one addressed to you right now. This one says, is Planet Bids a third-party vendor that gives options for digital advertising, traditional print through CapMetro?
So that I can't fully completely answer. Planet Bids may have other opportunities that they themselves are pursuing, but from Capital Metro's perspective, if we had a solicitation that was a formal solicitation over $50,000 for printing services, I believe that was part of the question. We would work with our internal customers and liaise with them. Eventually, it would be issued on Planet Bids. Not sure if that exactly answered that question. Mohammed, do you have anything to add, perhaps?
No, unfortunately, don't know. We need to figure that out. So as the questions will be posted, we can find more answers and provide the answer to that one.
And a follow-up to that one, Anita, for you as well. It says, will ATP be done through Planet Bids?
And I will turn that question over to Greg.
Thanks, Anita. I think what I would say to that is we're in a startup phase, and part of our relationship, ATP and CapMetro, are obviously very linked. We're going to be looking at certainly the initial RFQs that are going out. We're going to try to get them out as far as we can. If we have to use that system, that we will. I think that is on our list of foundational things we need to look at, learning about what this opportunity is. And again, if there's efficiencies to gain, that's what we're really focusing on, efficiencies to get out to the marketplace, these opportunities. Certainly not wedded to what it needs to be, but if there's a system that's working, we're going to look at that and hopefully leverage it if we can.
All right, Greg, and another one for you right now. It says, is there a projection for the number of construction jobs Project Connect will create in our community?
So I don't have that. What I can tell you is during I don't have that fresh in front of me. I do know that during the process to set the election and talking about not only the process to get there and the tax rate, we did talk about the economic benefits. So we can certainly get that pulled up and get back out to everyone on the meeting today.
Greg, I don't mind.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you might have it, Randy.
I don't mind adding an extra point on that. I believe, and I don't want to be 100% quote on this because to Greg's point, we will get the exact, but I believe the estimate from the economic impact analysis said over the 10-year process, about 97,000 FTE jobs would be created locally in the economy. Now, they're not all exactly construction, but obviously a majority of them, a very large majority of them will be construction based over the next decade. So kind of crawl, walk, run. We're in the, how do we hire some people to actually build the management team to actually then do design and then procurements to lead to these big contracts. But when this machine gets moving, it will be the largest public works program ever done in this region. It is going to be a very significant amount of jobs, and we are going to need to work incredibly close with not only all the contract community, but really closely with the labor community too, who does this amazing work, whether it's cold weather today or in the heat of the summer. We need to have great partnerships to get all the appropriate individuals and skill sets to develop this large program over a decade in the community.
All right, Randy, we'll wrap up and ask one last question that is directed to you. It says, how can a firm get involved with staffing needs? We already have a direct contract for temporary staffing with CapMetro. Will ATP require a new MSA?
Oh, well, it sounds like whoever that question's from is already doing work with us, so that's great. So right now we're in the pure staffing in the sense of like hiring full-time, so non-temp staff. We're actively recruiting very significant specialized talent from around the country. So what we're about to do here, we haven't done here before. So unfortunately, we don't have a large amount of people that have, say, built subway tunnels in Austin for obvious reasons, because we don't have them. So those are some unique things we're going to look for. In the meantime, though, yes, we will be looking for procurements. Greg's shop, as he gets that up and running, will be looking for everything from temporary help on, could be financial items to could be Jackie Nuremberg on community engagement items. So that's one type of professional services. It could be legal, it could be real estate, it could be office space, architectural services. I guess I just tell everyone, And I know everyone's anxious, in which I super appreciate how many questions and how many people are tuning in to be involved. So just kind of take a deep breath. We're in the first pitch of the first inning of the baseball game, but the opportunities are about to come out, and we are going to be looking for a lot of people to be engaged with us.
All right, I know I said that was the last question, but we did get one more, and I just want to squeeze that one in. This one is for Dipankar. It says, when will the DBE for the project be determined and published?
For Project Connect, means for ATP. So I think maybe Randy can answer that, because I covered the CapMetro DBE program, which is already established. And we do the DBE goal every 3 years. That is required. It's called triennial review, triennial DBE goal. So next one we are going to do in coming fall and winter. That is for 2023 to 2025. It goes every 3 years.
Yes.
But for Project Connect, probably Randy can answer that.
Yeah, thanks, Dipankar. So Dipankar answered it for the CapMetro current budget and the projects of CapMetro. We have a long kind of way to go again before some of these are set for the big contracts. Again, as I mentioned, we're probably several years away for those. So we'll be starting those conversations with the new Austin Transit Partnership Board in a few months. Each month we're going to be going through a very important topic to get everyone up to speed and start then some strategic decision making. And we have to be very coordinated with the federal government on big expansion programs versus regular agency work, if you will. So everyone just stay tuned, but we'll be in each one of those projects is likely to have its own goal versus a program goal, the way CapMetro does it today.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to all of our panelists today. And thank you for everyone who's joining us out there for a really exciting discussion and a lot to talk about and a lot coming up in our community. Of course, we covered a great deal of information today and got some really good questions from everyone in our audience and some feedback as well. If we didn't get your question today, please remember you can visit email Procure at help@capmetro.org to get those additional questions in. Thank you again to our discussion leaders for sharing all of their insight. In addition to today's discussion, we invite you to visit capmetro.org/vendors to connect with CapMetro procurement staff and register your company as a vendor. We also invite you to visit austintransitpartnership.org to stay up to speed about ATP and their upcoming opportunities. So with that, we'd like to thank everyone again for being a part of this very important conversation. Remember, you can revisit this video at CapMetro's YouTube, Facebook, and their Twitter pages. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me. Great talking with y'all today, and we'll see you